down over the entire area, and here are the heraldic trumpets with the opening fanfare. And to look at the stands, there are over 450 invited guests. Our Masters of Ceremonies, Ken Clark and Susan Turner.
Mesdames, Messieurs, nous sommes heureux de vous souhaiter la plus cordiale des bienvenues aux Jeux du Canada 1985. A warm St. John welcome is extended to all of you from Canada's first incorporated city. This is your 1985 Canada Summer Games. My name is Ken Clark, and Susan Turner and I will be your hosts for today's opening ceremony. Mon nom est Ken Clark, et avec Susan Turner, nous animerons les activités des cérémonies d'ouverture des Jeux.
Thank you, Ken. This is a wonderful time for St. John and for New Brunswick. Many have been working diligently during the past 4 years for this very day. The next 2 weeks will be exciting, challenging, and filled with tension.
L'heure est enfin venue. Des milliers de bénévoles se sont dévoués corps et âme depuis 4 ans en vue de ce jour qui sera sans doute un des plus mémorables de leur vie. Les prochaines semaines seront pleines de joie et de défis, mais elles seront aussi l'occasion pour chacun d'entre nous de voir véritablement l'amitié en fait.
But most of all, the air is alive with the magic of friendship between all Canadians. Please welcome now our very special guest, entering directly behind us through the archway doors of the grandstand.
Canadian Regiment trumpeters in traditional uniforms.
Leading our guests this afternoon, leur honneur, le lieutenant-gouverneur du Nouveau-Brunswick, Monsieur et Madame George Stanley.
Canada's Prime Minister, the Right Honourable Brian Mulroney, and son Mark. Le Très Honourable Brian Mulroney.
Mark is 5 years of age, so I guess this is his first really official function since his father became Prime Minister of the country.
What a thrill it must be for him. Also, along with the Prime Minister, we have the Lieutenant Governor and Mrs. Stanley from New Brunswick.
There's Mark right in front of Mr. Otto Jelinek, the Minister of Sport and Recreation.
Richard Owen, President of the Canada Games 85, Premier Richard.
There is the mayor of this city, and what a dominant force she has been.
She managed to avert a strike, came to an agreement with unions just 2 days prior to the beginning of these Canada Summer Games, and what a salesperson she is for St. John.
Mr. Prime Minister, ladies and gentlemen, we are honored today to have our native Indians raise the Canadian, the New Brunswick, and the city of St. John flags. Raising the Canadian flag is Charlotte Simon, official princess of the New Brunswick Indian Summer Games.
Charlotte is a 16-year-old from the Micmac Indians.
She was official princess of New Brunswick's Indian Summer Games, which were held at Big Cove in 1984.
Of the Malasine Indian Reserve of Kings Clear, New Brunswick.
So they will be raising the 3 flags. Prime Minister, his son, who came in looking very nonchalant with his hands in his pockets. There we have Charlotte in the center, and her 2 compatriots, of course, wearing the traditional Indian headdress.
Et de la ville de St. John, respectivement. Will you please stand? Will you lever?
While the flags go up, the audience well in excess of capacity, which is 11,000.
Canadian flag fluttering under sunshine here in St. John's, New Brunswick, for the opening of the Canada Summer Games.
This is the athletes' fanfare that's being played now by the trumpeters from the Royal Canadian Regiment. And the announcement now is of the welcome to the representatives from the 10 provinces and 2 territories.
Please welcome our finest athletes from Canada's 10 provinces and 2 territories. Leading the parade of athletes is the province which hosted the 1981 Summer Games, Ontario.
L'Ontario, qui a organisé les derniers Jeux du Canada en 1981, est la première équipe du défilé.
That was the announcement of one of the integral parts, of course, of any opening ceremony, which is the march-in of the athletes. But this, there's another look at those trumpeters in their traditional uniforms of 200 years ago. And now the music from all of our bands here, and we have a great many of them. They'll play alternately, all of the bands, traditional marches, and they'll swell throughout the afternoon. Will be 4 original marches composed by Vic Vogel of Montreal, especially for these games.
And Ted, there's Little Ed, who's the fuzzy, green, warm, and lovable mascot of these Canada Summer Games. Of course, he depicts one of the delicacies here in New Brunswick, which is the fiddlehead.
Representatives from every one of the provinces, of course, and a half of each team is in here now for the opening ceremonies. The other half will come next weekend, and they'll be here for the closing ceremonies 2 weeks from today. Town crier and fiddlehead. Fiddlehead has been very busy, and now the handkerchiefs that were handed to every one of these over 11,000 when they came in are being waved in preparedness for the salute to the athletes, as fiddlehead is still making his way around the track. And these are the flag bearers who precede the athletes.
We'll be back with more of the pageantry of the opening ceremonies of the Canada Summer Games right after this.
We are back live at the Canada Games Stadium in St. John, New Brunswick. And another panoramic look at this brand new stadium. And the first team to enter, the team that was host the last time the Canada Summer Games were held in Thunder Bay 4 years ago, the team from Ontario. Their parade color is national scarlet for Ontario.
Ontario has one of the biggest teams here competing in the Summer Games. Enthusiastic fans waving those Canada Summer Games scarves that were given to them before they entered the stadium today.
It's a long march around here, and they come in about 2-minute intervals, so we'll be able to give you a good look at the Ontarians marching.
There is Sandra Levy. She's a member of the field hockey team. She also attends York University and was part of a hockey team there that won the 1984 championship. She's currently the #1 ranked player of the Ontario team.
Ontario were winners of 3 of the past 4 Summer Games flags. In '69, the inaugural games, then they were beaten out by BC in British Columbia 4 years later, and then they came back to win in '77 in Newfoundland and again in 1981 at home. And they've also won 3 Winter Games flags. And they have a full representation marching.
Many of the other provinces consider Ontario the province to beat.
Started arriving here. The ceremonies did not begin any kind of a ceremony at all until about 20 minutes ago. And these people, we arrived here at 10 minutes after 12 noon East Maritime time, and the stands were about 3/4 full at that time. People started arriving 3 hours before the opening ceremonies. And it was cloudy out here at about 10:30 this morning. Then the sun came out, and it's just gorgeous. Temperature in the mid-20s. A nice breeze to cool it off. It could not be better.
Ted, the fact that they did arrive 3 hours early is indicative of the kind of enthusiasm that we've witnessed since we arrived here in St. John. Everyone preparing for 4 years for these games.
The mission representative for the province of Ontario is Jim Bradley. You can hear the public address very well, I'm sure. That was Susan Turner again, indicating the arrival of Alberta. After Ontario, they'll come in alphabetical order, with the exception of the host province, New Brunswick, which, of course, traditionally will come in last. But this is Alberta. Alberta's official color is mountain green.
There are 156 members of this group. 171 will be coming in for coaches and managers, competing in all 18 sports.
It's really a magnificent picture here. The bright red, brand new all-weather track, the green of the natural turf infield. It's so nice to see that. And, of course, every color of the rainbow and the flags and then the banners being held by the people in the stands. And from way up high in the air, we have a look down at Nadia Ukrainets.
She's competing in archery at the Canada Summer Games. She's 16 years old and hails from Calgary. She's taken part in her second Canada Games.
And she has another big trip coming up. Later on, she'll be going to Hokkaido, Japan. It's in September as part of an Alberta Hokkaido Sports Exchange program. She'll be representing her province there. There's a band that's come all the way from Fredericton, New Brunswick to play here, the George Street Junior High Concert and Marching Band from Fredericton, 80 strong.
They're the biggest and one of the very few school marching bands in all the province. I'm sure, Ted.
Yes, the province of British Columbia, host of the second Canada Summer Games in Burnaby, New Westminster in 1973. And the flag is being carried. There are a lot of ladies carrying flags in this one. We'll get a really good look at her in just a moment or two and tell you who is carrying that flag. That's the flag of the province of British Columbia. And these people in New Brunswick are an awful lot closer to Europe than they are to British Columbia. It took them over 7 hours on a charter flight to come here.
And the choir made up of churches, singers from churches and schools from the St. John area. Ted, you were mentioning how the Summer Games were held in BC in Burnaby in 73. Premier Dave Barrett opened those games by saying, "Give it all you've got, because that's what makes our nation stronger."
Here's another archer, Sue. This is Roberta Barker. She's from Victoria, the province's capital city. She's 20, and she's a C-carded athlete, so she's only here by one division. If she was higher, an A or a B, she'd not be eligible. She has set 23 Canadian records and was first in the 1982 Canadian Senior Championship. So she has to be a strong favorite here. And the British Columbians decided to march in alphabetical order of their sports. That is starting with archery, an A, but except for the volleyballers, who are the V, but they make the biggest noise, so they decide, and they're the biggest people, so they decided to put them right in the middle. Jim Richardson is the mission rep. They just arrived last night.
This British Columbia team placed third in the Summer Games held in Thunder Bay in 81.
I think they're going to do something special. I have a little bit of a scoop, and if they do it, it should be right about now. Maybe somebody forgot the cue, I don't know. Several of them are carrying their own British Columbia flags as well as the official standard flag bearer. Well, they were going to give a big 3 cheers on their way by, but I didn't notice them do it. Is called prairie brown. I never knew that Manitoba's color was really prairie brown.
Actually, it looks much brighter than that. Colors of yellow and white accompanying the prairie brown. There's 139 competitors here today. There'll be 169 more coming in for the second week of competition.
Just to explain that situation again, they've always done that because the people have to travel so far, and they're split up into 2 divisions. There's the flag bearer, Kathy Jacobson, a 17-year-old diver from Winnipeg, Manitoba. She is a member of the junior national diving team and will be going from here directly to Houston, Texas. Kathy is 17. The World Age Group Championships are in Houston right after this, and that's where she'll be going. I was just mentioning that ostensibly, half of each team, half of the participants come in for the first week, then they go home after competition next Saturday. This next Sunday is a day off from competition. The next group will all arrive to compete in the second week, and they're split up more or less into equal groups.
So half the athletes will attend the opening ceremonies and the other half will attend the closing ceremonies. They'll all get a chance to take part in the pageantry of the opening and closing ceremonies.
The fun thing about this is that everybody who's here, I think, as long as they're physically capable, they come and march. That is, all of the members of the headquarters team from each province, as well as all the athletes, because it's an integral part. You know, in the Olympics or other big games, if a sprinter or something has to perform the day after, they give them the day off. But this is a real part of it for these people. Marching in the opening ceremonies is as big a part, really, as competing is, and they enjoy it.
And for many of these athletes, this is the biggest athletic event they've ever attended in all the time they've been competing.
Just going by the official box, and right in the front there you can see young Master Mulrooney standing up right in front of his father. We're going to be here for the entire show, of course, and we'll be on every evening. Check the listing in your area of Canada again next weekend, and right on through till the closing ceremonies 2 weeks from today, and they'll be seen live on that occasion. Pronounce that river for me again down there.
Ted, in the background, that's the Invocation River.
Right.
That will be the venue for rowing, canoeing, and sailing events during the Canada Summer Games. Mark Mulrooney once again.
Standing beside his father, Mr. Hadfield, and her worship, the mayor. And now here comes Newfoundland. And the island, of course, hosted us magnificently in 1977.
And they are quite an enthusiastic bunch. They're wearing cornerback maroon. There's the flag bearer, Paul Merlot. He's involved in diving at the Summer Games from St. John's, and he's 14 years old.
And you talk about what the games do for a province or a community. There probably wouldn't be a Paul Merlot carrying that flag, a diver, were it not for the facility, the wonderful Canada Games pool that was built in St. John for those Canada Summer Games of '77. And the same thing's going to happen here with this track and with the magnificent aquatic facility that they have right smack in the middle of town. Hopefully sometime in the next couple of days we'll show you a nice feature on that. It's one of the best looking aquatic centers I've seen in this country. Newfoundland coming in. They won the Centennial Cup as the most improved team when they were hosts in 1977.
And they've improved drastically each Canada Games they've participated in.
look at that.
That
There's their
appears to
mascot.
be the team mascot, rather.
Last night it wasn't cod tongues and that type of thing here, or seal flippers, but Sue got into the clam.
I certainly did. Bay of Fundy clam.
They were great, weren't they?
They were excellent. What hospitality shown by the people of St. John's. When the summer games were held in St. John's, it was the first time archery was one of the sports.
And I think, because I do, that people from right across this country have a very special feeling for these people from Newfoundland. They were the last group to join Confederation, of course, and what a contribution they have made since that time. I don't know who has blessed this place, really, Sue, but they were telling us that in July they had 17 consecutive days of fog. And when there's a fog here, you can't see your hand in front of your face. Here comes the Northwest Territories.
22 athletes the first week, 19 will be joining them next week. And they're competing in only 4 sports: track and field, volleyball, softball, and swimming. That's a long way to come to St. John, New Brunswick from the Northwest Territories.
And it's a vast area, of course, from which to assemble people. That's the Kiwanis Junior Pipe Band. They were the McLeod Tartans. 22 this week for the North Territories.
James Ariat is a member of their volleyball team. He's from Pond Inlet in Baffin Island, one of 5 Inuit volleyball players, and first time the Inuit players have participated in the games.
We'll be back with more of the pageantry of these opening ceremonies of the Canada Summer Games.
Want to hear something funny, David? Emily and I were just talking about you.
Oh, no. No special reason. I just wanted to say hello.
Hi, Grandma. Hey, Mom, it's Grandma.
All 3 of you on different extensions? Hi, Bill. Hi, Bob. Hi, Barb. How you doing?
When you're wondering how they're doing, isn't it worth a call?
Thanks for calling. Talk to you soon.
Discover the excitement in the heart of St. John, Market Square and Brunswick Square. Your inside connection to 150 shops and services, fascinating boutiques, fabulous fashion and food, and nightlife under Harbor Light. All this in 2 outstanding hotels. Discover a new St. John and your inside connection by Skywatch. Market Square and Brunswick Square. Discover the fun.
The shape of things to come has come. The Audi 5000S, sedan, wagon, turbo.
Visit your Atlantic Audi Dealer Association near you. Eastern Sports is having a back-to-school sale featuring such items as K-Way half-zip jackets, regular $29.99, priced at just $19.99. Pegasus GX sneakers, regular $69.95, now priced at $44.99. And gym shorts, regular $8.99, bargain priced at $4.99. Enjoy the beauty of the outdoors with a Norco Nomad 10-speed bike, regular $210, now $129.99. See these and more at Eastern Sports back-to-school sale, St. George Street in Moncton.
We're back live at the Canada Games Stadium and there in the distance, just rounding the turn, you see the Northwest Territories team. And I know one man who had been watching them very fondly would have been Stuart Hodgson out in B.C., the former commissioner of the Territories. And right now, the province of Nova Scotia, that hosted us also proudly in 1969 at the first Summer Games, as Prime Minister Brian Mulroney looks on, enters the stadium, Nova Scotia.
The colors of the uniforms for this team, that's the next-door neighbor to New Brunswick, ocean blue.
And that's Robin Mayer, the 1984 Nova Scotia Female Athlete of the Year, winner of the 1,500 meters at the Canadian Junior Track and Field Championships. Will compete in her event here, of course. She's 17, and Robin right now is considered one of the top middle distance promising young athletes in this country.
And it was in Halifax, Nova Scotia, of course, where it all began, the first Summer Games. 3,000 athletes participated in those first games in Halifax.
I was going through the records, Sue, of the 69 games in the various sports, and it's really, mind you, those first games were open. There were no restrictions on people who could take part, but it's really amazing the number of great Canadian international stars who competed in those first games. Debbie Brill won the high jump, for instance, in that one. Divers like Beverly Boys and people like that. Swimmers like Leslie Cliff, one of the greatest female swimmers we've ever produced. Many of the greats who went on to international medal performances came out of the Canada Summer Games.
You can bet there's some young athletes here today that are looking at this as the beginning of a career that perhaps will take them one day to the Olympics as part of the Canadian team.
They've sent everybody they can. Their first week's contingent is 155 strong from Nova Scotia. And in the second week, they'll be represented even more with 171. Northwest Territories over there on the other side of the band, just going into position, while on this side of the track, Nova Scotia now just going by the important personages who have assembled here, led by the Prime Minister of the country. And it's been traditional for a Prime Minister to open the Canada Summer Games.
This will be his first Summer Game as Prime Minister. Ted, this stadium is so magnificent. It has 2,500 permanent seats, and they've added over 8,000 because there are over 11,000 people in attendance for these opening ceremonies.
I thought they'd wait a little bit to play Alouette, but I guess it is a national song here, not just a song from the province of Quebec. It's considered a Canadian song, of course. And those masked bands never stop during these opening ceremonies. We have the Kiwanis Juniors, the Lancaster Legion Pipes and Drums, the Kennebecasis Valley District, the George Street Junior High Concert Marching Band out there. And there's a lot of original music as well as traditional music. Now another of our island provinces.
Prince Edward Island entering the stadium.
Prince Edward Island will take part in 14 sports. In all, they'll send over 200 people, with 85 for the first week, and then there'll be 109 the second week of competition. And their flag is being carried very proudly by a field hockey player, Carla Reeves.
She's leading scorer from the University of New Brunswick in field hockey.
Proud moment for Carla.
Chosen flag bearer for your team, I can imagine, is quite an honor.
You bet it is. And to get out there and march and represent your province in front of this huge crowd of 11,000 and, of course, all of Canada. And there's our crane. It is a long way up in the air. A very gritty cameraman up there. There are people who don't like height at all. And he has to be able to take it before he even gets up there.
Bill Levy up in that crane position. I think they flipped coins to see who got that.
And Bill lost, obviously.
Bill lost.
Doing a great job. And these people are so, they've never stopped waving those handkerchiefs.
Ted, you were mentioning the weather and what a beautiful sunny day it is, and you also mentioned the fog. St. John is quite interesting because you can be in one part of the city in fog and drive perhaps a mile and a half and be out in sunny, clear weather.
They're very conscious of it. Everybody you see says, you see, there's no fog. I said, there's been no fog since I got here. They said, you should have been here in July. 17 consecutive days of fog, and they were worried. And when the fog rolls in here, you don't know how long it's going to stay. They are making a margin here. The key point of the ceremonies, and they should, because these games are for the participants.
Four of the marches we hear today are original marches composed by Vic Vogel of Montreal, especially for these games. He was also the one who composed the music for the 76 Montreal Olympic opening and closing ceremonies. And you remember how special they were.
Those are still some of the most thrilling strains. I have that album at home, and every time I hear it, it still thrills me. Going by the surpliced choir, the ladies in the choir in white surplices and the men in red. And here, of course, one of the top contenders at any Canada Games, summer or winter. Winners of the Canada Winter Games flag in 1975 in Lethbridge and 1979 in Brandon. Always in the top three in the Summer Games. La Belle Province, the province of Quebec.
Of course, they hosted the first Winter Games in 67 and the fifth Winter Games in 83 in Quebec City and Chicoutimi.
Oh, we had fun in Chicoutimi. The weather was gorgeous.
I think you have an angel sitting on your shoulder, Ted. Every time you go to an opening ceremony, the sun breaks through.
Here is Guy Daigneault, a baseball player. He's the center fielder on the Quebec team. He's 21 from Montreal, and he can hit the ball. His batting average is just under 400 this season.
The athletes coming to these summer games are going to be housed in a village which was the old hospital here in St. John, and I had a chance to peek inside, and they're beautiful facilities, a great area for young Canadians to meet each other.
These are the opening ceremonies for the Canada Summer Games in St. John, New Brunswick. They're coming to you live on the CBC television network on Sports Weekend this afternoon. Ted Reynolds with Sue Prestige, and all of our CBC gang will be here for the next 2 weeks to bring you exclusive television coverage of these Canada Games from every venue of the games.
The organizing committee here in St. John has done a tremendous job fixing up certain venues, building new ones. Prime Minister waving at the young athletes as they go around the track. Mark there looks a little bored, however.
If you're 5 years old and have to stand up for 2 hours, it can be sort of long, I would think. Prime Minister is here for only 4 hours. He flew in about 2.5 hours ago, and from here he goes on to Prince Edward Island for another function. From Quebec, full contingent for both the first and the second week's competitions.
black with white. The team from Saskatchewan.
Saskatchewan, traditionally in white. Generally, there's some green, too. Their mission rep is Al Heron this time around, and they've got 152 for this first week, and there is Lisa Mays, who holds the provincial high school record in the long jump in Saskatchewan, and she was fourth in the 1984 Junior Nationals. She's also a top-flight volleyball and basketball player. A lot of ladies carrying flags. What does that mean, Sue?
I think it means they've been great athletes all along. I'm not sure what it means, Ted.
They had the green trim, of course, on the Rapid Flight. I wonder who named it Rapid Flight from Saskatchewan.
And another team mascot.
They've been a Canada Games host, but a Winter Games host in Saskatoon in '71, and of course they'll be hosts of the next Canada Summer Games 4 years from now back in Saskatoon. It'll be the first time, really, although Thunder Bay is the middle of the country, but we started in Nova Scotia, went to British Columbia, all the way back to Newfoundland, then to Thunder Bay, then back here to the Maritimes again, and then back to the heartland of the West for the next Summer Games. They won the Centennial Cup in the '83 Winter Games on the strength of some great curling performances, among other things, as I remember. And speed skating, too. They did a whale of a job of speed skating. Hang in there, Mark. It won't be long now.
I think it should send out for a hot dog and a pop. All these athletes coming to St. John, which is Canada's oldest incorporated city. They're celebrating their 200th anniversary.
And who named it St. John?
Samuel de Champlain.
Did indeed.
Diddle Ed.
Yes, there's a big statue to Samuel de Champlain in the center of the city. He came over here shortly after arriving in 1604, and first of all, he named the river St. John. You learn a little history as you go around this country, don't you?
And did you know that shortly after his arrival, Fort Latour was the first settlement?
Well, here are the people who have come the farthest from the Yukon Territories.
7 athletes marching behind the flag.
Their color is Klondike black. They'll compete in only track and field, and from track and field comes their flag carrier. That's the standard bearer. The flag carrier is just behind her. There she is, coming into view now. Shay McKenzie, a 16-year-old from Dawson City.
She's been Female Athlete of the Year for the past 3 years.
And you know, you could go from here to Europe far more quickly than you could go to Dawson or one of those places. There's Shay, a good look at her, where these people came from. They flew south from the Yukon to Calgary. Then they joined up with the charter carrying the British Columbia team. And then it took them another 7 hours with a stop for fiddling and watering in Maribel. So it took them over 7 hours to get here from Calgary. About an 11-hour trip. They could have gone to Moscow in that length of time.
The team that had the most jet lag to recover from coming to the Canada Summer Games.
And they won the Centennial Cup in 1979 in the Winter Games in Brandon.
We've talked about how impressive it is to gain overall points in the Canada Summer Games, but I think the most impressive thing that I've seen in past games is the effort and the improvement by provinces that come here.
Well, everybody, of course, has been waiting for this to welcome their own. host team comes in last, and that is what is happening now. In Acadian rust, that's their official color. The team from our host province, New Brunswick.
326 young athletes from New Brunswick will be participating in sports within the next 2 weeks. And there he is, David Blow. He's competing in track and field, and he's from St. John. He also competed in the Summer Games in Thunder Bay in '81, and he's training under Charlie Francis, who coached Angela Taylor, an athlete that represented Canada in the Olympics this past year.
Well, of course, Charlie has been perhaps our most successful sprint coach. Waving their hats now as they're just really nicely onto this brand new track. And there's their proud premier, Mr. Hatfield. It's a very proud moment, not for just these marchers from New Brunswick, but for everyone from this host province, which has thrown itself into these Canada Games in really an outstanding fashion. The organizing committee, headed up by Dick Oland, the city of New Brunswick, of St. John rather, the province of New Brunswick, they have all meshed together. There's her worship, the mayor, and boy, oh boy, she's had a testy week, hasn't she?
Has she ever? She was dealing with a possible strike by inside workers at City Hall, and that was solved 2 days before the games began. As I said, she's quite a salesperson. She gave us a pitch last night about coming back to St. John for our vacation that you wouldn't believe.
I booked a ticket. The enthusiasm of the crowd there, welcoming their own, tells the entire story. There's the premier.
Waving his Canada Summer Games scarf.
The gentleman beside him is the Most Reverend Bishop Arthur Gilbert, the Bishop of the Diocese of St. John, who will be giving us the invocation later on. Of the University of New Brunswick and the university itself, the entire campus, has been carved in the last few years right out of the forest primeval. The last time I was in St. John, that was a while ago, there was nothing here at all. Now they've got a beautiful campus, and it's surrounded by trees and water. What a setting.
It's very reminiscent of Simon Fraser University in British Columbia.
Yeah, it's extremely modern architecture that lends itself to the topography.
It's not a hot day, thank goodness, here in St. John. The sun is shining. But these people have not quit waving since the athletes first marched into the stadium.
That gives you a good idea of the trees right behind the stadium, and then the hills over there and all those wonderful colors. There's not very much smoke or anything around. Usually the hills look a little blue in the distance, but it's just various shades of green. This is a gorgeous part of our country. Team to enter, the host team, New Brunswick. Everybody's here. Canada Games 85 from St. John, New Brunswick continues after this. Canada Games officials. And at the other end, right there, Sue, people from the Festival of the Sea.
The Festival of the Sea is the other component of these Summer Games. They bring culture from various parts of Canada. Just before the actual opening ceremonies, they were out on the grass and people were wandering around asking questions about their costumes and their music. Shows you how much coming together there actually is at the Canada Summer Games.
They'll be performing throughout the city at various squares and malls. There are about 350 dancers, people like that. And then at the other end, of course, the officials coming in as well. They represent the first 9 sports, that is, of the first week, being archery, baseball, canoeing, diving, field hockey, sailing, athletics, volleyball, and water skiing. They're approaching each other from each end of the stadium. That's the Festival of the Sea People again, from the north end, and the officials from the south end.
Dedication on the part of the organizers and of the games officials themselves in order to prepare St. John and the rest of Canada for these summer games.
Sue, I was talking to one of the officials last night, and he has a very accurate rating because they're using a computerized system for everything here. As of last night at 6:30, there were 7,500 volunteers in all working on the staging of these Canada Summer Games. That is an incredible figure.
Now we prepare for the invocation from the Most Reverend Bishop Arthur Gilbert. He's Bishop of the Diocese of St. John and has been since 1974.
Ladies and gentlemen, mesdames et messieurs, the invocation. Son Excellence, Monseigneur Arthur Gilbert, évêque du diocèse de St. John, the Most Reverend Bishop Arthur Gilbert.
The bishop is 70, but very active in his 57th parish bishopric.
O God, our Father, we ask you to send your Holy Spirit upon all who are gathered here today. We give you thanks for bringing together these young athletes from across our great country to our province and city. May these games be sustained by a true spirit of sportsmanship, bringing out the best in all participants, allowing them to excel not only in sports, but in bringing our country closer together as a family united in purpose and achievement. Ô Dieu notre Père, nous t'implorons d'envoyer ton Esprit Saint sur tous ceux ici rassemblés aujourd'hui. Nous te remercions d'avoir réuni dans notre province, notre ville, ces jeunes athlètes de toutes les régions du Canada. Nous te prions que tous les participants soient animés par un vrai esprit sportif. Nous te prions aussi qu'ils soient motivés à donner de leur mieux afin qu'ils puissent s'affranchir dans les compétitions et en même temps contribuer au rapprochement comme citoyens d'une famille inspirée par la même vision et partageant les mêmes valeurs. We make these prayers, as always, through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Most Reverend Bishop Arthur Gilbert of the Diocese of St. John.
Next to the microphone, a man who has had quite a bit of work, and that's Richard Olin, President of the Canada Summer Games here in St. John.
No one has worked harder nor been more dedicated than the President of the Canada Games 85. Mesdames et Messieurs, nous cédons la parole au Président des Jeux du Canada, Mr. Richard H. Olin.
Jake Olin, as he's known by all of his friends and admirers here, done a great job.
Your Honor, Mr. Prime Minister, Your Worship, Mr. Premier, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, athletes of Jeux Canada Games 85. It is great to be here in sunny St. John. To all of you, I extend a warm welcome. Bonjour, bienvenue. Never before has such a gathering of athletes in New Brunswick gathered like this. And never before have so many citizens of our community and this province come together to stage an event which will unfold in the next 2 weeks. Today, we are making history. These are the largest Canada Games ever, and with your support, they will be the best Canada Games ever. Representatives of business, labor, and government have worked side by side as volunteers to make these games a reality. And as president, I can truly say I have been overwhelmed by the support shown by everyone for these games. Mr. Prime Minister, you can be proud of the Canada Games Council and the Ministry of Fitness and Amateur Sport. In particular, the support shown by the Honourable Otto Jelnick and the Honourable Gerald Merrithew was extremely helpful. Mr. Premier, you are well aware of the commitment of your government to the Games. The assistance of many of your cabinet members and staff has been greatly appreciated. Your personal commitment and that of the Honourable Leslie Hull, Minister of Youth and Recreation, has been most gratifying indeed. To Her Worship, Mayor Elsie Wayne, and members of Common Council, the Society's debt is great. I want you to know, ladies and gentlemen, that the support of the City of St. John has been tremendous. Thank you. In addition to the commitment shown by government, the private sector has supported these games to a degree never experienced before. In total, 340 donors have become friends of the games, demonstrating their great support. To all of you, particularly the volunteers, I must say thank you. As you will see in the days ahead, you will also be treated to some of this country's finest performing artists who have traveled to the port city of St. John to participate in our Festival by the Sea. One of the objectives of the Canada Games is to promote national unity, to build a better Canada. As we view the assembled athletes, the largest number of athletes ever gathered at any Canada Games, I know together we will build a better nation. Many of you have practiced for several years to participate in our games. The next 2 weeks belong to you. Ces Jeux sont pour vous. For certain of you, these games will be a stepping stone to world competition such as the Olympics. Our hopes and prayers are with you. Bon chant et bienvenue à St. John.
Well, Mr. Dick Olin is a great organizer, we know, but he's also, by way of being quite a diplomat and, yea, perhaps even a bit of a politician.
He looked
We have
clearly
been
relieved
privileged
last
this
night
year to be part
when he
of the
realized these games were about to start after all that
celebrations of
planning.
the city of St. John. The strongest supporter honoring our city's history has been the mayor of St. John. Nous avons le plaisir
Yes,
de vous
this is
présenter
Mayor
maintenant le maire de
Elsie
St.
E.
John,
Wayne, who's being
Madame
introduced
Elsie
now.
Wayne.
She's the first woman to ever be elected mayor in the city's 200-year history, and I think probably the most enthusiastic.
Thank you very much. Your Honors, Mr. Prime Minister, Mr. Premier, Your Excellency, Honorable Ministers, members of the Common Council, distinguished guests, athletes, ladies and gentlemen, mesdames et messieurs. St. John, Canada's first incorporated city, is proud to welcome to our community so many fine young men and women who represent the best qualities and traditions among Canada's athletes. And I think I must be the happiest and proudest mayor there is in the whole of Canada today. Gentlemen not with us today, and in honor of their memory, I wish to recognize the tremendous contribution of Evan Trice, David Smith, and Rolly McClenahan towards the Jeux Canada Games. Their efforts should be an inspiration to all the volunteers who have contributed so much of their time to these games and to you, the athletes. It was these three gentlemen who were instrumental in New Brunswick and St. John in obtaining the games. Ladies and gentlemen, the slogan of one of our major sponsors is, quote, always there. Well, our major sponsors, Irving Oil, NBTEL, the Bank of Nova Scotia, Maritime Beverages, and Moosehead Breweries have always been there for the Jeux Canada Games. Been there for the Jeux Canada Games with their financial support, but they have allowed many of their employees to volunteer for the games. These public-spirited citizens are always there when the local government needs them, and I say to them, thank you, and what a team. Je tiens à remercier la candidature et les gouvernements fédéraux et provinciaux, sans qui les Jeux de Canada ne prendraient pas place. I would like to thank the major sponsors and the federal and provincial governments, for without them the Jeux Canada Games would not be taking place. To Richard Olin and to all of his management team and to all of his volunteers who have worked for the last 4 years to make the Jeux Canada Games a reality, thank you very much, Dick, and all of you for your unselfish effort. And to you, the athletes, I would like to say that the volunteers have worked unrelentlessly for you in the spirit of sport. Canada Games are a time to not only display your athletic abilities, but also to meet many other young Canadians and develop lasting friendships through friendly competition. We, the citizens of St. John, open our hearts to you and wish you all the best of luck. Indeed, we are the city that put that word hospitality in the Webster's Dictionary. And we are pleased to welcome to our city all our visitors to these 1985 Canada Summer Games. Merci à tous. May God bless you all. And may these be the best Canada Games ever.
What an incredible person Elsie Wayne is.
Her Worship the Mayor, and she is very proud of her city, and I'm quite sure today it's proud of her.
This excitement began as the people of New Brunswick celebrated their bicentennial in 1984. Excitement continued to build as young athletes trained to be here today. To officially welcome you on behalf of the people of the province, j'invite donc le Premier ministre du Nouveau-Brunswick, l'honorable Richard Hatfield, à prendre la parole. The Premier of New Brunswick, Richard Hatfield.
Your Honors, Prime Minister, Your Worship, Your Excellency, Mr. President, athletes, their parents, coaches, volunteers, organizers, contributors all, you have for months and years trained and worked, planned, practiced, rehearsed, and encouraged to make what is going to take place here in the next 2 weeks a success. And I know that it will be a success because of what all of you have done. This competition began some time ago when the province of New Brunswick competed for and won the honor to welcome you here today and to contribute to our country by hosting the Jeux Canada Games. Les Jeux Canada Games sont d'abord une manifestation sportive, mais ils sont également l'occasion de faire connaissance et d'apprendre et se comprendre de part et d'autre, de se découvrir soi-même par le fait même. We know that athletes do make a big contribution to making our country, Canada, bigger and better, and we thank them for doing that. Thank you.
Honorable Richard Hatfield, Premier of the province of New Brunswick.
The federal government has strongly supported the assembling of Canada's young athletes every 4 years to compete in a variety of athletic endeavors. It is largely through the support of the federal government that these games are possible. How appropriate that our 18 sport competitions involving so many young Canadians should take place in 1985, the International Youth Year.
La participation du gouvernement fédéral a été essentielle aux Jeux. C'est aussi un fait à noter que les Jeux du Canada de 1985 coïncident avec l'année internationale de la jeunesse. Nous sommes donc très honorés d'avoir parmi nous aujourd'hui le très honorable Brian Mulroney, Premier ministre du Canada. Ladies and gentlemen, we now present the Prime Minister of Canada, the Right Honorable Brian Mulroney.
Ted, you'll remember that when Brian Mulroney was selected as leader of the Conservatives, he had to find a place to run. And he came to the Maritimes, and I'm sure he remembers them with the warmest of thoughts today.
Escorted by one of the official games hostesses. Now the Prime Minister.
Mr. Chairman, distingués invités, Your Worship, athletes from across Canada, Mesdames et Messieurs. It is with sincere pleasure that I join all of you today in St. John for the festive opening ceremonies of the 6th Jeux Canada Summer Games. These games have proven in the past to be the crucible from which in many instances, our Olympic champions are forged. I am certain that for you, like me, those great memories of the magnificent achievements of our athletes in Los Angeles last summer still linger on. And equally important, the Games will provide young men and women from across our country the opportunity to meet both in competition on the field and socially here in St. John during their historic stay. From these meetings, lasting friendships will be formed, and through those friendships, the strength of our nation will be reinforced and in many ways enhanced. J'aimerais de façon particulière adresser des remerciements très spéciaux et exprimer ma reconnaissance à tous ceux et celles, en commençant avec Dick et Elsie et les autres, qui ont généreusement et de façon bénévole travaillé à la préparation de ces Jeux. Je suis convaincu que tous les athlètes, la population de Saint-Jean et en fait l'ensemble des Canadiens reconnaissent avec moi l'importance vitale de votre contribution. To the volunteers of the city of St. John, who have done so much and who have done it so well. To make these games a reality, I say simply thank you. Thank you on behalf of all Canadians. I hope visitors to the games and spectators in their living rooms across Canada will pause from time to time during the course of the next 2 weeks and reflect on the key roles that you, the volunteers, have played in making our games a success, not only here, but in other cities where they have been hosted in the past. To the athletes, I express the fervent hope that your performance during these games will live up to your dreams and your expectations, and that you will leave St. John with warm memories, with pride, with fulfillment, and with a renewed sense of your special contribution to our splendid Canadian identity. I am pleased, Mr. Premier, to declare the 1984 Canada Summer Games open. C'est avec énormément de fierté, chers amis, que je déclare ouverts les Jeux du Canada 1985.
Prime Minister finishes his address. Giving the Mayor of St. John a hug.
The Canada Games flag is now being carried into the stadium by athletes representing the province of Ontario.
The hosts of the last Canada Summer Games and winners of the Canada Games flag at those games in Thunder Bay 4 years ago, the province of Ontario. And it is the province of Ontario that has the honor of sending forth the 8 people who will carry the Canada Games flag into this stadium that's now being announced by the Master of Ceremonies.
Are 8 members of the Ontario team, winners of the competition in the 1981 Canada Summer Games at Thunder Bay.
Le drapeau des Jeux du Canada, décerné à l'équipe victorieuse des Jeux, a été accordé à l'équipe de l'Ontario aux Jeux de 1981 à Thunder Bay.
They are Liz Polyak, track and field, l'athlétisme, Gail Pringle, canoeing, le canoë, Terry Gibbons, archery, tir à l'arc, Dave Wells, sailing, la voile.
Richard Coughlin, baseball, le baseball. Andy Matthews, water skiing, le ski nautique. Carrie Pollard, archery, tir à l'arc. Stephen Biddle, canoeing, le canoë.
We'll tell you a little bit more about these 8 people as they bring the Canada Games flag in. Now the fanfare for the entrance of the flag. Now this music, we heard it at rehearsal, and I find this little sort of gavotte type thing and minuet-y type music most unique for a performance like this. But this one, as a matter of fact, I think is the, as I recall from my youth, Sue, is the minuet from L'Alzane by Bizet. being played by the 3rd Field Regiment Band, which is conducted here by Bruce Holder, as we have little piccolos and flutes and all that type of thing.
Each band here today very distinctive, and here comes the Canada Games flag.
This is colored green and red. Green segments are red maple leaf, and the 12 segments, which are green, represent the 10 provinces and the 2 territories of our country. And of course, the C and the maple leaf symbolize the union of these segments of Canada, from Newfoundland to British Columbia, north to the Yukon and Northwest Territories. And from that intrepid cameraman high overhead, you look right down. There is the flag with the segments I have just described.
The Ontario athletes who are carrying the flag represent all parts of Ontario. They're from Brantford, Ottawa, Thunder Bay, Mississauga, Windsor, Huntsville, Terrace Bay, and Carleton Place up near Ottawa.
Liz Polyak from Brantford is a track and field performer. Gail Pringle from Ottawa is a canoeist. Terry Gibbons from Thunder Bay is in water skiing. Dave Wells of Mississauga is in sailing. Otto Jelnik and the Prime Minister there. And Mark is hanging tough watching this.
Collecting hats.
Richard Cognan from Windsor is a baseball player. Andy Matisse from Huntsville, a water skier. Terry Pollard from Terrace Bay, an archer. And Stephen Biddle of Carleton Place is in the canoeing competition. The 3rd Field Regiment Artillery Band was founded in 1793. There wasn't much going on in the rest of Canada in 1793. It was founded by one Captain John Colville, the loyalist father of St. John, the 3rd Field Regiment Royal Canadian Artillery Militia, and is Canada's oldest, I would think it is, Canada's oldest artillery regiment.
It's only had 2 music directors in all the time it's been around. That was Captain B. Holder Sr. and the man who is conducting today, his son, Bruce Holder.
That's the band. I mean, since 1793, there've been a lot more people in the regiment.
They're looking very good if that's the case.
Andrea Lisson, dans le point, Nouveau-Brunswick, le canoë.
Now, we have an attendant party out there for the flag raising. They have assembled themselves at the base of the flag, and you're going to see some costumes as those are the escorts to the flag party in the white slacks and the red-trimmed T-shirts. And they're moving out now. There's people at the base of the flag, including Bob Cormack, as we hear "This Is Our Country." His wife Jean and daughter Heather and Terry Regal Buto in Loyalist costumes, and there to welcome the flag.
Chosen to raise the Canada Summer Games flag is New Brunswick athlete Andrea Lisson from Gondola Point here in New Brunswick.
This is Fred Branch. They all call it Canada, but I call it home. 400 voice choir is directed by Spencer Bellier. of these opening ceremonies of the Canada Summer Games.
L'honorable Leslie Hall, ministre de la Jeunesse et du Loisir, et un athlète du Nouveau-Brunswick, Donald Cormier, Robichaud Office, le baseball, à prendre la parole.
Please welcome the Minister of Youth and Recreation for New Brunswick, the Honorable Leslie Hull, and Donald Cormier, Robichaud Office, New Brunswick, baseball.
The Honorable Leslie Hall, Minister of Youth and Recreation for New Brunswick, is a former Pizetter, as he said last night, and he's looking forward to the games over the next 2 weeks.
He was previously the Social Services Minister, and of course he's accompanying the athlete VIP he's described, Don Cormier of Robichaud, New Brunswick, who's in baseball.
And also accompanying them to the dais is Otto Jelinek, Minister of Sport and Fitness.
Otto and his wife arrived yesterday. Were at one of the functions last night. And we'll be here for several days, as a matter of fact. Now, Mr. Hall.
Mr. Chairman, Your Honors, platform guests, ladies and gentlemen, athletes of the 1985 Summer Games. Monsieur le Président, invité, honor, cher athlète. I stand before you today a very proud New Brunswicker. Proud because for the first time, New Brunswick is hosting Canada's most important multi-sport event. Proud because over the last 3 years, thousands of volunteers have worked to make the Games a reality. Starting today, we can begin to share the results of their efforts. I congratulate them on a job well done. Je suis fier aussi parce que en tant qu'année internationale de la jeunesse, les jeunes athlètes du Canada sont ici St. John. I want to tell you that to be a Canada Games athlete requires a very large investment of time and commitment. As Minister of Youth and Recreation, I have watched the development of the New Brunswick team, and I know that every athlete here has given at least 3 years to train for the Games. During that time, they have learned to win and to lose, to give their best, to be good sports, to be keen competitors, and to enjoy the social aspects of competition. That's what the Games are all about. I hope these Games meet the expectations of every athlete and that they leave New Brunswick proud to have been part of the Games. And now, Donald Cormier, a member of the New Brunswick baseball team, will welcome the athletes. Bonne chance à tous.
Don Cormier attends community college. He's 20 years of age.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, invités d'honneur, mesdames et messieurs. Every athlete here today has been working and waiting for this moment. Les Jeux du Canada est un événement spécial dans notre vie. I feel very privileged to welcome my fellow athletes to the 1985 Canada Summer Games to the province of New Brunswick, dans la province du Nouveau-Brunswick, and the city of St. John. Like you, I know it's an honor to be part of the Canada Games. And like you, I know I'll compete to the best of my abilities to make these games a success. Durant les 2 prochaines semaines, nous nous ferons concurrence, aurons l'occasion de se connaître mieux et nous nous amuserons ensemble. When the games are over, we may be sad, but we will go away knowing that we have competed against the best of our peers and that we have shared a very unique experience in Canadian sport. Enjoy your time in St. John, and good luck to everybody. Bonne chance à tous. Merci. Thank you.
Please welcome at the podium the Honorable Otto Jelinek, Minister of State for Fitness and Amateur Sport, who will introduce the athletes participating in the traditional gift exchange.
L'honorable Otto Jelinek, ministre d'État à la condition physique, Et au sport amateur fera maintenant la présentation des athlètes qui participeront au traditionnel échange de cadeaux. Monsieur Jelinek.
Prime Minister, honored guests, athletes, ladies and gentlemen, what a great day for St. John, for New Brunswick, and for Canada. These are the type of events. This is the type of event that brings all Canadians together and makes this country the great country that it is, and for that we are thankful. You know, an integral part of the Canada Games opening ceremonies is a custom which began in 1969 and has since become a tradition. This tradition symbolizes the peace, friendship, and national harmony that exists between the young people who attend these games as athletes. As host of the last Summer Games, the province of Ontario will now exchange gifts with the current host province, New Brunswick. Mesdames et Messieurs, la tradition veut que la province hôte des derniers Jeux d'été fasse avec le Nouveau-Brunswick un échange de cadeaux en signe de fraternité, de paix et de l'unité nationale. Ladies and gentlemen, the gift from Ontario is a wooden heart carving of Chocolate Moose, which was the 1981 mascot, shaking hands with our good friend Fiddlehead, the mascot for the 1985 Games. The presentation will be made by Bill Hayes from diving and Chris Cooper volleyball.
This is coming to you live, these opening ceremonies from St. John,
New Brunswick is a painting by Stephen Scott of St. John depicting the Games facilities. This gift will be presented by Kelly Chase, Riverview, New Brunswick, from archery, and Gary Sullivan, St. John, from sailing. And may I add, ladies and gentlemen, as minister responsible for amateur sport in this great country of ours, my sincere best wishes to all who will take part in the 1985 Jeux Canada Summer Games. I'm certain that they will provide meaningful experiences which will last a lifetime. I, for one, am truly proud to be associated with these games and take this opportunity to congratulate one and all. To you, the athletes, good luck, and let's have a great 2 weeks. Thank you very much.
Two gifts that will hang in very special spots in their respective provinces.
Yes, the Ontario gift, the wooden hand carving of Chocolate, the 1981 mascot, shaking hands with Fiddlehead, and the New Brunswick gift from New Brunswick, a painting by St. John's Stephen Scott depicting the game's facilities. I'm Ted Reynolds with Sue Prestige. This is live from St. John, New Brunswick, and we want to remind you that following these opening ceremonies of the Canada Summer Games, we'll have the fourth and final round of the PGA from Colorado. Can Lee Trevino defend his championship? It looked yesterday as if Hubie Green might take it away from him. He ended up the day after the third round 3 shots up. That will be seen following these ceremonies from St. John.
Once again, a beautiful view from the stadium here.
La cérémonie qui est sur le point de se dérouler témoigne aussi de l'ardent désir de paix et de fraternité que l'on retrouve dans le cœur de chaque jeune Canadien.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have just witnessed a genuine expression of friendship through an exchange of gifts. The spirit of friendship can be expressed in many ways. In the next part of our ceremonies, the magic of peace and friendship will unfold, symbolized through the music, movement, and dance of our young people.
So to the strains of music by André Gagnon, 49 dancers ranging in age from 13 to 18 go up onto the stage.
They have training in the various different forms of the dance. In ballet, some have trained in gymnastics. Many are jazz enthusiasts. 85 pigeons being released. They are under the command of the racing pigeon coordinator, Dr. Henri Gisson, and they are trained racing pigeons being released here, brought in from throughout Atlantic Canada, and they're actually taking part in a pigeon race.
Flight of friendship also honors the late Foley McClanahan, who was involved in the Canada Games from prior to their being first held in Quebec City in 1967. To honor his years of devotion in leading New Brunswick to 8 summer and winter games, the Interprovincial Sport and Recreation Council has created the Rowley McClanahan Canada Games torch to be run at all successive Canada summer and winter games.
There is Rowley, who died in 1984, and it's so sad he was not able to be here to see the games in his home province, but was in at the very inception of the Canada Games. What a wonderful man he was, honored and trusted not just here in St. John, New Brunswick, but throughout Canada by his fellow amateur sports administrators. What a traveling companion he was. One of my fondest memories ever of traveling any place in this world was a travel through China in 1977, and Rowley was a part of that company of ours.
The torch will be passed on to the Canada Games Council and Organizing Committee in Cape Breton for the 87 Canada Winter Games and in Saskatoon for the 89 Canada Summer Games.
Yesterday morning, Canada Games President Richard Olin presented Rowley's torch to the Premier. Mr. Hatfield ignited the torch from the Centennial Flame to start the NBTEL torch run from Fredericton to St. John.
C'était hier que le président des Jeux, Richard Olin, remettait le flambeau McClanahan au Premier ministre du Nouveau-Brunswick, l'honorable Richard Hatfield, qui d'allumer et donner le signal du départ du marathon du flambeau.
These 15 runners will now enter the stadium, accompanied by 2 distinguished athletes, chosen to run the torch to the Alcan Flame. The flame basin was manufactured by Alcan employees at Saguenay, Lac-Saint-Jean, and was given to the Canada Games Council to be passed on to all future Canada Winter and Summer Games.
Today, it is our privilege to welcome the first running of the Rowley McClanahan torch and the athletes and the 2 athletes chosen to carry the torch and light the flame.
The opening ceremonies, because there was a great deal of secrecy as to what was going to be involved here, and now is the moment when it can be told. We have 7 runners from the Fredericton area and 8 from the St. John area.
Chosen are Brenda Guitard, St. John, field hockey, and Steve Fonyo.
And of course, this is the big moment, Sue. There was a great deal of speculation, but there comes Steve Fonyo running for the first time since he dipped that artificial leg in the waters off Beacon Hill Park, Victoria, British Columbia, on May the 29th to complete his historic run across Canada. And here he is again.
Journey for Life is what Steve Fonyo called his marathon across the country. It was on May 16, 1984, when he reached Port aux Basques, Newfoundland, and when his personal marathon began.
And the young lady accompanying him ran with him when he went through New Brunswick on his run, which seems so very, very long ago now.
Steve has made so many public appearances since that famous run. He was Grand Parade Marshal at the Calgary Stampede not too long ago. That was the last time I got a chance to speak with him.
And the girl is 18-year-old Brenda Guittard, a member of the New Brunswick field hockey squad. She's only 5 feet tall. You can see she's very, very short, but she's a dynamic halfback. Just completed her first year in physical ed at the University of New Brunswick in Fredericton. Her proud parents are Carol and Doug Guittard. She's from St. John. What a proud day it is for her. And what a moment. Steve just looks great after his sojourn in the Cook Islands, one of Sue Prestige's very favorite places, I might say. And he was at the Calgary Stampede, but this is the first time he's moved officially in anything like a run since that historic day in Victoria on the 29th of May.
Brenda and Steve walk up the steps. They will light the torch that will symbolize the beginning of these Canada Summer Games 85.
And the flame is alight. And such a moment for all of those, for Dick Olin there, and for all of these people. And the song that there repeats.
They raise the symbol for these Canada Summer Games held at St. John. 2 maple leaves, one on a stylized water reflection. The upper maple leaf symbolizes Canada, and the reflection below it with the ripple wave effect symbolizes St. John.
And 400-voice choir singing unaccompanied. Now the torch bearers are descending. But there's much more to come from these opening ceremonies. We have a dance pageant with hundreds and hundreds of young people from this part of the world. Steve Fonio looking very, very happy to have been included in these games. The torch with the choir in red and white at its base. Perfect weather in this part of maritime Canada today. It could not have been more pleasant. And marching on now, the hundreds and hundreds of young people I think 612 in all, who will take part in the Magic of Friends dance pageant.
I had a chance to speak to some of them, Ted, during the rehearsal, and they were telling me that it was only about 2 weeks ago where the entire group came together to practice as one unit. We'll be back with more of the Canada Summer Games 85 from St. John, New Brunswick, right after this.
Looked after the ceremonies in Quebec's Olympic Stadium for the visit of Pope John Paul II last year, is the mastermind behind this production.
The girls that are participating are between 8 and 22 years of age, and some of them admit to having little experience in performing at an opening ceremony, but they worked very hard for this day over the last couple of months.
Those hoops are red and white, and on the white side is a stylized bird of peace carrying a palm frond, I presume.
You had a chance to ask one of the girls at practice, what did that represent?
Well, her answer was, I think it's some kind of a bird.
She's more concerned about her dancing talent.
There's 17 different groups in this performance, making up the total of 612. And some of them are very small, or some of them are only 8 years old.
Can you imagine the difficulty of putting together a show like this when the university people have left the city for the summer, school is out, a lot of people are on vacation. If Hugo DePaul managed to get this group together and put them through their paces over the last couple of months in preparation for today. Even more dancers.
Live the opening ceremonies of the 1985 Canada Summer Games in St. John, New Brunswick. And I want to remind our viewers across the country that following these opening ceremonies, we will be going to Colorado for the final round of the PGA.
the field now, school children from all over St. John's, carrying the official colors of the Canada Games, balloons decorated in red, blue, and white.
So there are 550 of them, adding to the 600 girls or so. We've got to have quite a mob out here before the whole thing is over.
And they're all carrying 15 balloons per person. My math is not all that great. But I assure you that means an awful lot of balloons and an awful lot of children.
Now going up onto the stage, you're going to see, you can see, 30 boys, teenagers from St. John, and they're doing a breakdance routine, or they're going to. Inevitably, the odd flight of balloons will go off precipitously ahead of time.
Remember, I challenged you in Los Angeles, Ted, to learn how to break dance. Have you picked up any tips?
I haven't done too much about that, Sue. There, you can see everything now. The break dancers on the stage, the 612 girls with the hoops, and some 550 youngsters ages 6 to 10 out there with their balloons. Panoramic view of the entire infield. And now the balloons are flying.
What a magnificent start to the Canada Summer Games 85.
The grand finale to the Flight of Friendship, the pageant, the youth pageant of these ceremonies. We're coming to you live from St. John, New Brunswick, the brand new Canada Games Stadium, where the athletics begin tomorrow. There'll be a couple of finals here tomorrow, the 10,000 meters and the hammer throw. Activities begin in 11 different sports. Our first competition will be seen across the network tomorrow evening. Check the time in your own time area across this country. And remember, immediately following these opening ceremonies, we will be going to Colorado for the final round of the PGA exclusively on CBC television. Prime Minister with his son Mark, the Honorable Otto Jelinek, to Dick Olin. Mr. Jelinek, by the way, was telling me last night that he'll be meeting his counterparts from East Germany here tomorrow, and they, a little later on this week in Toronto, will be announcing a new agreement of sports between the two countries, Canada and East Germany.
Jeux Canada Games athletes oath.
Canada has very good relations with several countries in the world when it comes to exchange programs on sports.
We're going to have the traditional taking of oaths now. There'll be an oath for the athlete and an oath for the officials.
This will be the first time that the officials have taken an oath at a Canada Summer Games.
Louise Rice, who comes from Edmundston, New Brunswick, and Rudy Stasek, who's from Fredericton and is a diver, will be together taking the oath for all of the athletes.
And Betty McFarland from Moncton, New Brunswick, along with Nettie Cormier from track and field, also from Moncton, will be taking the oath on behalf of the officials.
Once again escorted out by the official games hostesses in their especially designed costumes. Corner of the flag must be held. As Louise and Rudy move into position.
In the name of all competitors, I pledge that we will take part in these games in the true spirit of sportsmanship, respecting and abiding by the rules which govern them for the glory of sport and the honor of our teams.
Next for the officials. Actually, this is Louise Rice doing although the public address won't allow her to, she's doing the oath in French.
Je m'engage à participer à ces Jeux dans un esprit véritablement sportif, à respecter les règles qui les régissent et à m'y soumettre pour la gloire du sport et l'honneur de nos équipes.
Very relieved Louise, I'm sure. Now it's Betty McFarland's turn, taking the official's oath.
And Betty McFarland, both of Moncton, New Brunswick, track and field, representing all officials, will now take the Jeux Canada Games official oath.
Au nom de tous les athlètes officiels, je promets que nous remplirons nos fonctions pendant ces Jeux en toute impartialité, respectueux des règlements et fidèles aux principes du véritable esprit sportif.
I believe that was Mehdi Cormier from Moncton, New Brunswick.
In the name of all officials,
This is Betty McFarland.
I pledge that we will officiate these games with complete impartiality, respecting and abiding by the rules which govern them in the spirit of sportsmanship.
Ladies and gentlemen, for your enjoyment, we present the Canada Games Band and Choir with our Canada Games theme song, Look Out World.
And of course, we first heard this in Halifax, Dartmouth in 1969. As a matter of fact, it was pre-released and first heard on the CBC network as the theme for our coverage of those first Canada Summer Games. A fitting, triumphant theme song
Ladies
for these
and
opening
gentlemen,
ceremonies.
mesdames, messieurs, our national anthem, l'hymne national.
Well, the flame is burning and will do so here over the Canada Games Stadium until 2 weeks from today when these games will close. Prime Minister Brian Mulroney, I'm sure, congratulating Mr. Richard Oland, the president of the Games Society, who has seen the culmination of years and years of hard work today in a wonderful, wonderful opening. Sue, just a magnificent ceremony to launch Canada Games 85. A wonderful reward for the organizers, performers, and volunteers. Tomorrow competition begins. We'd like you to be introduced to our other commentators who will bring the games to you. John Martin, it's nice to see you back in the Atlantic provinces.
Thanks, Ted. It is great to be back here in the Maritimes, although this first week of the games I'll be slaving away out here on the water covering the sailing competition. Somebody's got to do it. Unfortunately, the sailors won't have a boat quite this large to work with. They'll be sailing 1- and 2-man lasers. That's a very small, maneuverable boat that has really caught on in popularity around the world, especially with the younger sailors like those we'll be seeing here at the games. Now, maritime sailors, especially if the wind gets high and if the weather gets rough, they may have a slight advantage. But remember, BC is right on the coast of the Pacific Ocean, and Ontario has Lake Ontario to practice on, so a few medals will be going west. There's another maritimer working on these games. Unfortunately, he'll be a landlubber this week. Let's check in with Doug Saunders.
Thank you, Donald. Glad to see you having such a wonderful time on the water. One tip for you, my old friend, put the life jacket on. We all know how you swim. Now, my sport this week will be men's volleyball, and I'll be reporting daily from the Athletic Center here on the St. John campus of the University of New Brunswick. Kind of interesting to note that this is the first time in Canada Games history that volleyball has been included as a summer sport. And all indications point to the provinces that have traditionally dominated the sport dominating here again. In particular, British Columbia, which comes in top-ranked overall. They have 3 previous Canada Games volleyball gold medals to their credit, and appear to have a fairly easy route to the medal round here as they will play in the weaker A division. Now, if the British Columbians are to be challenged at all, that challenge will probably come from either Saskatchewan or the host New Brunswick squad. Meanwhile, in the B division, I look for a real dogfight all week long with Manitoba, Ontario, Quebec, and possibly even Nova Scotia all having a shot at the medal round. We have our quarterfinals set for Friday with gold, silver, and bronze medals to be determined on Saturday. Should be an exciting week at volleyball. Meanwhile, I want to turn you over now to an old friend of mine, Scott Oak, a native maritimer, but one who's been spending recent years in the West. So, Scott, over to you.
Doug, it's always nice to come home to the Maritimes, and during the first week of these Canada Games, I'll be on the water covering skiing. I'll also find some time to report on field hockey, but the object of our attention here on the Little River Reservoir will be water skiing. And yes, it is a reservoir, but there is no cause for concern because the folks in St. John are not drinking this water. It's for industrial use only. Now, water skiing's been a part of the Canada Games since the birth of the summer set of games in 1969. It's been dominated by skiers from central Canada, Quebec, and Ontario. Names like McClintock have won gold here in the past and have gone on